what is coming up in our consciousness is a total hybrid solar eclipse. Now, even though I have studied astrology, okay, first of all, I'll introduce myself. My name is Ray Ellen. I have studied astrology for over 50 years. Just recently, I've been introduced to Vedic astrology, so I am integrating both of them. So I would now consider myself an eclectic astrologer. I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I mix them together, and they seem to work out. That's all I can say. I don't follow the rules of either. I know some Vedic astrologers will be rolling over in their garden, and because I don't express things exactly the Vedic way. And then tropical astrology, I integrate, the solstice points, which are you're taking the chart and you fold it over each other. And I use a lot of dispositors and everything. So I mix everything up, and for some reason, it works out. So everything I say to you today is going to be a mixture of everything. And how I got there, I'm not sure. And everything you have to realize when you listen to different astrologers talking about their view of the frequencies happening in our solar system, the frequencies and the harmonics that are happening in the constellation is always through their interpretation and their lenses. So everything I say is just my viewpoint and my lens in the way I am expressing it. So it's not the truth about anything. It's only the truth if it resonates within yourself. So that's kind of like a little bit of my disclosure. So I've been interested in eclipses forever. I always thought it was the most miraculous. I'll tell you a little story about eclipses for me anyway. When I was a young child, my dad said there was going to be an eclipse of the moon, and he described it to me. I think I was about 8 years old. Now, what is an eclipse? They're 2 times a year. The sun, moon, and the earth line up in a particular way. Now, the solar eclipse, the moon is between the sun and the earth. A lunar eclipse is the earth is between the sun and the moon. So, and I'm going to go into some of the eclipses. There's 4 types of solar eclipses. That's not 8, 4, one of each hand, but there's 4 types of solar eclipses, and each one has a particular vibratory force. So going back to when I was a child, my dad told me that there was going to be a special, I was always interested in the stars. So I know I am an astrologer from way back when, because I would always go out and my dad showed me the constellation, although he never remembered doing any of that stuff. So I knew what Orion was, and I knew, certain things. And I don't know, I just loved the stars from a very, very, very young age. So I was about 7 or 8 years old, and my dad told me that there was going to be an eclipse of the moon. I was so excited. But at that particular time, I don't know if they gave you the exact time and minute like they do now. We didn't have the internet back in the 50s, This was back in the 50s. And so my parents had some guests over that night. And, I kept on looking out the window. And it was time for me to go to bed. And, when you're a young child, you're in there and you can hear your parents talking to their friends and laughing and having a good time and everything like that. And I'm in there and I keep on peeking out the shades in my window to see if I can see what this eclipse looks like. So finally, I lay down on my bed and I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning and I thought that I had missed the most important thing of my life, because this particular eclipse was supposed to happen only once in a century or something like that. I mean, it was like a very unusual eclipse, which I'm finding out each eclipse is unique in its own. I have to say, for weeks after that, I felt like I missed the most important thing of my whole life. So that said, my interest in the phenomena of eclipses is just a deep, deep, deep part of myself. So let's talk a little bit about how they work. And if I cannot, and if it's all possible, I will not miss an eclipse, especially if it's close to us. And those of us in the United States had a unique opportunity in 2017. They called it the Great American Eclipse. It went from the Great Northwest all the way down across to the Carolinas. But that was 2017. In 2024, there's going to be another Great American Eclipse going all the way from Mexico, starting in Texas and going all the way up to Maine, across and into Canada. So there's going to be another opportunity to see a total eclipse of the sun. So exactly what is that? There are 4 types of eclipses. Solar eclipses, so only 2 types of lunar. So the first one is a total eclipse. Now, that is when the Earth is here, the moon is here, and the sun is over here. And the moon moves across the face of the sun, and there's a perfect alignment where when the moon, and I'll read this to you, it's an event when the sun is completely blocked by the moon. It's known as a total eclipse. The moon's dark shadow completely overtakes the sun in the sky with a faint corona. So there's a faint rim around it. The corona is the plasmic atmosphere of the sun. During an eclipse, only a small region of the surface of the Earth is able to see the total eclipse. So you have to be at just the right time and place. Eclipses happen, the viewing of eclipses happen different places all over the Earth, and it's where the ecliptic aligns with the sun and the moon. And it happens to be in Indonesia coming up the 20th, which is this week, and a tip of Australia. So Lee, you know, I mean, you'll probably watch it on TV. You'll probably know where it's at. And all of you, if you're interested, you can look it up and you can actually see it in live reality. I'm not even sure exactly what time it is.
It's actually in Exmouth. I just Googled it, Mr. Google.
Yes.
Western Australia. So that's right out on the western, well, so closest to Indonesia in some ways, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So but this eclipse is different than other eclipses. It only happens once every decade. And I'll go into that. You know, we're going to go into that. So the first is a total eclipse. So the moon shadow covers the eclipse, and there's like a thin layer around the sun. Okay? And if you want to view the eclipse, you can get special glasses. And when this eclipse comes next year, and I'll tell you exactly when that happens, because I'm excited because it's going to, I live in Cleveland, Ohio. And Cleveland, Ohio is one of the epicenters where we are going to have this total solar eclipse. I'm so excited. Okay, so a total eclipse happens somewhere on the Earth every 18 months. And this particular eclipse is a total eclipse, an annual eclipse, and it's called a hybrid eclipse. However, many of these can occur over regions over the ocean or the Antarctica, making viewing nearly impossible. Mathematically, a region is estimated to see a repeat total eclipse every 370 years, making this a very rare occurrence. They last only a few minutes long, with very interesting lasting more than 7 minutes long. Every 100 years or so, they last 7 minutes. The eclipse I think I saw down in Nashville was 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and it goes so fast. It's amazing. So the second type of eclipse is an annular eclipse. This occurs when the moon is blocking part of the sun and a perfect line is around it. No, okay, a total eclipse covers the whole thing, and you can see like an aura around it. There's plasma. It looks like the sun is darkened, and you see this plasma coming out, and then you can see they call it the ring of fire. That's what it is. They call it ring of fire around it. It's like totally amazing. So an annual eclipse, it goes over, but it doesn't give that ring of fire to it. And the bright ring that is formed around the sun only, let's see, is referred to an annulus. Okay. Then there's a partial eclipse, which happens, and only part of the shadow of the moon will go over the sun. Okay, just part of it. And really Google this, because you'll get a different perspective of what I'm saying. I'm trying not to make it too complicated, but the eclipse that's happening this week is a rare eclipse. It happens once every decade, and it happens in certain regions of the earth. They see a total eclipse, and other regions see an annular eclipse. So some of them are going to see this beautiful plasma streaming as it's total, and other ones will just see a thin line around it. And when there is a total eclipse, usually the temperatures go down, everything gets a little bit dark. Sometimes the birds think it's nighttime and they want to go to sleep. It's a very amazing experience. And when I saw the eclipse in 2017, you could see these magenta flares coming off of it. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So the last hybrid eclipse was November 3rd of 2013. That doesn't make much, you don't have to know that so much, except to me, 2013 was a really important year for me. A lot of things. I went through a transformational experience in my life, and I don't know if you can resonate to that, but maybe, being a total eclipse of the hybrid eclipse in 2013, maybe something happened to you. They happen in cycles, The next hybrid eclipse after this one is going to be, and I'm not sure where it's going to be, but it's going to be in 2031. I'll be 81 years old. I don't know. I'm excited about it. And then there will be another, after the next hybrid eclipse after that will be another 133 years from now. So these are just like, mind candy right now. I'm just telling you that. But let me tell you about the eclipses coming next year, because if you live in the United States or in Canada and you have the opportunity to go see this eclipse and make a vacation out of it, it's really worth doing. So it's going to be April 8th, 2024. It's going to start in Texas and go all the way across, and please look it up. Actually, it's going to go through Cleveland, Ohio, which I'm very excited about, except my husband reminded me that oftentimes it's very cloudy here. And so help me, if it's cloudy on that day, I'm going to be really upset, because Cleveland is a very cloudy city. And then it's going to go up through Canada. I would think it's going to be near Toronto and Quebec, but I think you're going to see this total eclipse. Might be Montreal. I think Montreal might be one of the places. And so it's really, if you have the opportunity, and I'm letting everybody know this a year ahead of time, because probably around December or April, people will be making reservations as a destination place just to see this eclipse. Scientists come from all over the world, because when there's an eclipse of the sun, they can see things that they can't ordinarily see. So it's a very special time. So that said, how is this eclipse this week going to affect us? Before I go on with that lot of information, does anybody have any questions? I mean, I hope I explained eclipses kind of well. Oh, wait, whenever you have a solar, hire a plane. People have hired planes. They have done that. And like I say, eclipses only last, this particular eclipse next year is only going to last 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And it goes so fast. I mean, you want to take pictures of it and all this kind of stuff, but oh my God, it's just to gaze at it is the most amazing experience. Now, when you have a solar eclipse, you always have a lunar eclipse. So, because it's on the same ecliptic. So, on okay, I think it's May 5th. Oh shoot, I had the papers here and they're not here now. Okay, there it is. This particular eclipse is going to happen Eastern Standard Time, right around midnight. But what is essential is for this particular eclipse, because it's a hybrid, because Mercury is going retrograde the next day in Aries, Vedically, and in Taurus tropically, which means in Western astrology, Mercury will be going retrograde in Taurus, which means that we have to evaluate Mercury retrograde. We talked about that a few months ago. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take action. It means that you should go inward before you take action. So in Western astrology, it's going retrograde in Taurus. So you have to, Mercury, it's what you want is about communicating what you need, what is valuable to you,
In Taurus, right?
In Taurus.
Yeah.
But
right.
in Aries, it's what you want to initiate. So because it's happening almost conjunct the eclipse, we might want to be very impulsive with the way we talk. We want to make impulsive because we think we know what we want and we want to do it now. So ideally, during eclipse time or eclipse season or the month of the eclipse, we should take some time and view what we want to do as a new beginning. Put a plan together, especially with Aries, because it's all about new beginnings. It's not about being impulsive. It's about ending what you have not completed. Now, depending on our own astrology chart, these new beginnings could be how we want to initiate self-growth, how we want to initiate the way we receive finances or develop new talents, how we want to initiate the way we communicate and change that, how we want to initiate the different foundations to give us a sense of security, how we want to initiate and communicate with our children or our creative endeavors. This particular solar eclipse is really a time of taking focus on our health. But each of us are going to experience that in a different way. It could be that maybe finances and taking action and communicating with our children is more important. But Vedically, this particular eclipse is all about embracing how we want to heal ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Basically, that's one of let's see, it's not, the emphasis is on that the most out of everything. Although each of us are going to take this eclipse and initiate new beginnings in different ways. It could be the way we relate to our partnership, or what our partner values, or what our belief system is, or how we want to change our career, or how we want to put new goals in order, or how we want to get in touch with the deep internal part of ourselves. So this eclipse is all about new beginnings, but it's essential not to follow through and jump in the frying pan. It's putting a plan of action together to initiate this new process. And this particular eclipse is glorious in the fact that this new beginning is different than the average new moon in Aries. It means that it's kind of like a new beginning on steroids. So if there's been anything in your life that you have been wanting to start, this is the time period in the next month to 6 months to do that. And right now in this week, as we speak today, you can mull this over in your mind. Instead of knowing that you want to change something in your life, put a plan together. So within the next few weeks, you can initiate this plan and take action on it. It's time to go within, complete what we have been doing in our lives up until this point, view the past, go into that programming, make peace with it, and then go forward. So it's essential to make peace with your past before you start the new beginnings. And it's essential that we are going to start new beginnings. It's going to happen whether you initiate it or not. But if you put a plan together, you have more of a opportunity to get and go where you're going. So it's finishing up in past, looking at our internal struggles with emotions. What are we holding on to? What is outdated? What structures are outdated? And becoming independent by harmonizing and adapting and becoming flexible in what we want to achieve in the world around us.